Hi, my name is Otillia Hoops, and today we're going to be talking about a question I actually get a lot, and that is how to tap into flow. And it's actually a question I've had since I started hooping. And so over the years, my question kept being, how can I tap into it and how can I make it more regular? So it's not like, oh, just by accident, I went into the flow. Because a lot of times we step to our hoop and we just start and we're expecting this grand thing to happen to us and then nothing does. And we get frustrated and then we step away. And so part of finding flow is also building structure, but I'm going to go into that maybe at the end, like really quick. But today I'm going to talk more about the concept of flow. So a lot of people don't like this answer, but there's no magic transitional move that you can learn to teach you flow. Because flow is also science-based and heart-based. So in science, they say it can take the average artist or whatever thing that they practice about 10 to 20 minutes to get into that flow state, which is this higher concentration state. When you're in that state, the things that you have practiced over the years have become a part of you, and you don't have to think about when it happens. It just kind of comes, it just flows, right? It just comes out of you. And so this class is really structured to teach you tools to help build your own flow. So a lot of times we look at hooping as I do a trick and then I transition to another trick. Like they're almost these two different things. But I'm here to tell you that every single trick that you do is actually a transition. So it becomes this giant puzzle instead, right? And we have to figure out the puzzle for ourselves and how we interact with it and how we build it. You will look even at very seasoned hula hoopers. Sometimes when they up live on stage, you'll see them repeating the same patterns, right? And they're doing this because it's a part of their flow structure. It's what they were creating inside of their practice. So there are two ways that we can find flow that are very structured, where we can really think about it logically. The first one is a drill version. So let's say, for instance, I'm drilling my escalators. When I make a mistake with my escalator, instead of getting frustrated and trying that escalator again, I go with my mistake and see where it can lead me or see where it's opening me up. So maybe if my escalator is more down at the bottom of my body, maybe I end up doing some isolation out of it by accident or whatever, right? So that's how you start building these exit strategies from your current trick into another trick. Now, the bonus is that you're actually teaching yourself a different way to go into said other trick that you found through your mistake. So not only are you building information in front of one trick, you're building information on the back of another trick. So you have all these tricks that will start fitting into each other like a giant puzzle piece, because now we figured out various ways of entering and exiting, and then from exiting to that other new entry, and so on and so forth. And so that's the way I do it in a drills practice. Whenever I make a mistake, I go with it. Maybe I get lost on the tangent for a bit, but it's kind of like meditation where you come back to the break. I come back to my drill. And when I do my drill and I make the same mistake again, guess what? Now I have an exit, and let's see where it takes me. Okay, so that's one. The concept that we'll be practicing in class is building a combo, where we pull tricks out of a hat and we put them together. And then even with that, you can start creating your own style around it. So now we're starting to build this mini base where we can expand and grow from. And it's always going to go. I mean, I have combos. I don't know if I can do all of them anymore, but I remember making combos all over the years because it was always like doing this practice. And it becomes really helpful. So when you're in the state of flow, guess what now? All these entrances and exits that we've built is now built into us. And that's truly what flow is going with those mistakes, those little mishaps, because especially with a hoop that's not a part of your body that you can't hold on to, it can become a little bit of its own mind, because it can be very much affected by wind, the way it's landing on your body, where it's landing on your body, speed, the type of tubing, all these things start coming into play where mistakes are very much happening. But a part of flow is also hugging the mistake and saying, okay, let's do this. Let's go, man. So we're going to be doing the second part today together. And then the other part I wanted to talk about, that I kind of talked about a little bit in the beginning, was structuring your practice. So if you've taken classes with me before, you know that I always say, do some stretches beforehand, do some basic on-body drills to kind of get you flowing, and then we move into the goals that you've set for yourself, the things that you want to drill. And then through those drills is where we start finding our flow. And then when you do get into the flow stage, usually by the, let's say 20-minute mark, you should be there. And if it doesn't happen today, then it's okay. Maybe it happens 30 minutes into it. Maybe it doesn't happen at all. But I want to remind people that we think of flow as this like other thing. But even when you're a beginner and you just like got on body hooping, remember you would go 5-10 minutes at a time just going. You were in the flow, even though you didn't perceive it as such. You were in it already. And so it's when we overthink and get in the way of ourselves is that we close ourselves open to the opportunity to flow because we're trying to overthink it. But building, getting new ideas, putting them to our practice and making them our own is truly how you find your own flow, because we're all our own person on our own journey. And there is no cookie cutter answers out there. It's just taking a nibble from each cookie and putting it in your tummy and be like, yeah, you're part of me. That was a weird analogy, but it's okay. Okay, so I'm gonna grab a hoop and we're gonna start. We can turn off your mic, and that way we can build a little combo together and see what happens. Magic. All right, so what we're gonna do is we are gonna build a combo, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna take some tricks out of a hat. And then explore entrances and exits from them into the other tricks. So we pick 2 tricks and try to figure out how we can put them together. So this is kind of a lot of exploration and playing with your planes and things. So I'm going to have you pick the first two tricks. All right, so we want to do the escalator up, and then what else would you like to do? Oh, yeah, I think I have no idea what this is called, but yes, I do know exactly this one. Okay, so we're coming from the bottom, going up. So when we're up, we have to think about that pattern that we just created with this guy, which, I mean, it's almost like a hug mandala, ISO mandala, hug ISO mandala or something. And now I'm curious what it's called. But anyway, so we're coming from the bottom going up. So when we catch it, we need to explore our catch and how we can pop into that one. So as an example, I'll grab it. I'm just going to try and explore it. So I'm right here, and I have to think about how my hands work, how the trick works, and how I can incorporate it. So that was one exploration I've just played with. So we'll just keep playing until we find something that makes sense. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Right there, I kind of mess up with my hand, right? And so this is how we start finding ways of flow and different alleyways of going into one and out of the other one. Because essentially, depending if it's going backwards or whatever, right, it's going to be different. So I'm here. My instinct is just to grab it on the inside, on my arm, and then I'm like, all right, I think I found a nice smooth way. So what's happening when I have it right up here, I'm actually kind of in the right position to do the actual trick. So I can take my left hand and pop it into the hoop over my shoulder, pop it in there, grab it, and then I'm just finishing that pattern out to the side.
Oh yeah, okay. Let me try
that. That looks good, yeah. I like this one actually. I'm like, oh, this is fun. I've never tried this one before. Yeah, this could be a fun transition. And also, guess what? We can technically reverse it into a downward escalator too. So it's already teaching us a way to get into an escalator even though it's down. So basically reverse it. You don't have to do it. What I'm just saying is the idea of what just happened, right, is we have now a smooth transition between the two, then I try to reverse that idea of how can I go back to the previous one just for funsies. I just did it for funsies, right? Because that's really what it is exploration, right? And that's what it is, right? Is that we keep adding to it, right? And then we can practice it, and it becomes a part of us. But now it's also giving us opportunities for different things. So let's pick another trick. So now let's say we're in this one. Now we want to find an exit into something completely different. So I'm going to leave it up to you to pick one again. Just something random, and it doesn't even have to be related. This is a mandala. Back behind the back mandala. This one? Yeah. Okay. All right, so let's explore that, and we can begin from the beginning, right? I'm going to start from my escalator and practice this new thing that I found, and then I'm going to find my exit into the mandala, which this one is actually a great position for us to hop into it just from the back. So what I'm doing, what I found was, and I'm just beginning from the beginning, I go into this one. When my hook is on my left side and my left hand is the main one right here, I can actually let go of the hoop, pass it, and go into the mandala. So what's happening is when I'm right here on my left side of my body, I can let go of my right hand, and now I've created space already behind my back to maybe grab it at the top and then spin into my mandala.
Oh, here?
Let me get a little closer to it, see if that helps. So I'm going to pop up, and I'm going to let go of my right hand. Then my left hand is just going to bring it up to the sky. I'm going to grab it with my right hand, let go of my left, and pop into it. Yeah, you got it.
Oh, so good. Awesome. This is exactly what I need, because I have several tricks, but I don't really know how to put them together. And okay, this is so good. Thank you.
I'm so happy to hear. I'm so happy to hear this. I'm enjoying it too, because I would never think of putting these two together, right? We have different styles and different things that we're into. So, yeah, I like it. We can go into mandala. So now we need to figure out. We can even try to reverse it. How can I go from out of the mandala into this guy? Okay. Do you feel comfortable with those three?
Yeah, I do actually.
Great.
Totally my new go-to moves.
Great. Okay, well, let's keep adding on to it. How about we change it up and we pick a trick in front of the escalator. So we started with the escalator going up. We need to try to find a way to get into the escalator. Now, once again, what we're going to do is we're going to pick one random trick instead of having like a blank mind, oh, what I'm going to do. Just something random. It doesn't
Reggie doesn't make sense.
Oh, great. Let's do it. Let's take it. Let's do it. I don't like this is why we explore. Even if we don't think it can be done, let's try it and see if it can be done. It's kind of like that saying, you know, a lot of people say, oh, I can't do it. Now, when you say I can't do it, you'll never be able to do it. But you say, if I can't do it yet, we add that little word at the end, I open space for possibility. So how can I go from here into an escalator, which I have no idea, but let's see if we can figure it out. And this is also where we can add a transition maybe if we need to, or we might have to go into a different type of wedgie. Yeah, let's see what we can come up with. Okay, well you get the gist of it. So if you're able to do if you already have a wedgie transition into the escalator, that's brilliant. I'm gonna have to work on mine, to be honest. But I want to keep going. I just want to kind of keep adding. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna put on music, and we're gonna drill. And when we drill, even when you make a mistake, we're gonna go with the mistake. And this is how we start. Really making a bigger concept for ourselves, really making it more about going with the flow, right? Going with what happens with the hoop too. All right, so now we have wedgie into escalator, into this hug weave, into mandala. Now, what do we want to do after mandala?
How about I'm okay with some neck hooping, and then kind of can get down a little bit.
Some neck hooping? Okay, great. So let's start to explore that. So even though we're on a different plane, we're on this plane, we can figure out a way how to change planes. And sometimes it's nice to know a trick because that trick becomes the transition into it. One of the first things that come to mind for me is definitely to flatten my hoop out in some way. And there's a few ways from here where I can get into neck hooping. I can either bring it to myself and then go into it, or I can jump into it, jumping through it this way and then going into neck hooping. And so I'm using another trick technically as the transition.
I like the jump. You jump through the bottom like this.
Yeah, perfect, yeah. Jump through the bottom, and then when I'm on that plane, what I do is I get my feet ready so I can do the turn. So I jump through, my left foot's behind my right foot, and now my right foot can, kind of step over into the neck turn. Or if you don't want to do a turn with it, you can just stand and do it too. But I feel like the turn looks a little bit more pizzazzy, right? It's got a little bit more to it than just standing still. But it's up to you. Yeah, go. Ooh, that looks good. Okay, and so you said you wanted to go down. So now we found the way that we're going to stitch it together. We're going to go down the body. And then once we're down the body, the next trick will be our last one. And then we'll just practice the combo. Okay, all right, angel wings, yeah. Okay, so there's a few ways. My go-to would be this. I like this type of angel wing too. Or just stepping into it. So I'm here, I grab, I step, and I so, or even though we're putting two tricks together, it's great that we can do like the basic, right? We can say, oh, the basic one would be to just like stop, bring it over, and then do a turn. But then we can also think about making it a little bit more interesting by extending the idea of us turning in a more magical way. One that came up to me, a basic trick that we all know is just do a little like halo and then go into it. So it's a little bit more style than just stop, go. But there's there's a time and place for both of them. But when I'm in flow, I like to turn a lot. That's me personally. And so I tend to want to do stuff like this, where it takes me a little bit, I can kind of play it out a little longer. So it doesn't go like in a snap. And that's also part of when you practice the combo, you kind of start finding those little mini things to just make it a little bit more interesting. Okay, so let's quickly walk through the combo that you created. It was the escalator into the hug weave isolation. And then for the hug weave isolation, we went into the mandala. And then from the mandala, we did the jump through into the neck spin. And then from neck spin, we went down into our bodies. And then once on our body, we grabbed the hoop, did a mini halo into the little angel wing. So for sure. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put on some music, a song for about 3-4 minutes to let you practice on your own. So this is a thing that I do in all of my classes. I really believe in muscle memory. And when we give students a chance to work on their own, they tend to take it in a little bit more deeply than we talking the whole time, right? And so this is, building muscle memory, making your own. But my last tip that I like to give my students anytime when they practice something, a new trick, is to, when you find a piece of it, like a combo right here, if you find you getting frustrated with it, where you're not getting it, move on to something else and then come back to it again. So we're taking that energy that would have become frustration into being creative. And then you find when you come back to that thing that was frustrating you, you nail it because you didn't make it push yourself into this negative mind space. So you push yourself back into that positive mindset. Great. So let me put on a song.
Actually, a little smear.
Oh, you're getting ideas? How good. I love that. And incorporate it. I'm doing exactly the same thing. Like, so now that we have the skeleton, we can flesh it out in our own character and style. And then we'll show off at the end. All right. I'm going to pause that. All right, how are you feeling about it?
Good. I made some changes because certain things seem to flow into each other better.
Great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the class got cut short. But what I was about to tell my student is that it's great that she's making changes because that was the whole point of this class, is to help you understand flow, changing your perspective on how you view it. Because most people, including myself, and there's time for this, is that it's these separate entities. But when you first start out, that can actually be pretty detrimental. The reason why I say it is because it's all technically unified because it's movement, and movement wants to naturally flow in and out of itself. And the only way we're going to make those connections is by making mistakes because we're going with what the hoop is naturally doing to our movement, right? So the faster you make a mistake, the faster you're going to learn, the faster you're going to start making those connections, especially if you practice those mistakes. So I don't know if you've ever heard that expression of a happy mistake. That's basically what we're trying to accomplish here. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share with others so that they also can discover the flow within their art. I'm Otillia Hoops. Thank you again for all your support and watching today, and may the flow be with you.